Well, good afternoon and welcome to a windy Gibson Park. It's the deferred round 2 clash between the home team, the Thirroul Butchers, and the Berkeley Eagles. This is Johnny Pett calling all the live stream action for Bar TV Sports, and alongside me today is Corey Hammond, fresh from the representative season of the Andrew Johns Cup, the Laurie Daly Cup. Good to be back with you here, mate.
It is good to be back and calling Illawarra Rugby League. I've been watching your calls with interest. An exciting start to the Challenge Cup. Some really tight games. Thirroul, I know, made a very big statement last week, and they'll be looking to do so again today. But Berkeley, they've also been very good in the opening couple of rounds.
Yeah, the Butchers, they were sensational last week. A huge 44-0 win against Dapto down at Dapto Showground. It just stamped the authority of what they are set out to do in season 2019. As we know, the runners-up last year in 2018 going down to Western Suburbs in that grand final. Jared Costello and their men looking to go one better in season 2019. And the Berkeley Eagles, they were looking good at the start of last season. They won a couple of games there at the start of the season, just fell away a little bit, but I think under the guidance of Aaron McDonald again this season, they're going to be better. Round 1 in this Challenge Cup, they were victorious over Dapto. And you've got to remember, Corey, these two teams have only played one game each so far. We've had a washed out round and a bye, and the winner of today goes into next Friday night's final against Collegians.
There's a lot at stake, and as you said, I really love what Aaron McDonald's done with this Berkeley side over the past 12-18 months, and some astute signings as well. Grayson Goodwin, of very good pedigree. Zeke Foster's spent time in the Queensland Cup, a Wagga Junior, very talented. I know firsthand, I have played with him. And then you look to the Fogland brothers, astute signings from Dapto as well, so they provide plenty of punch in that back row. I'm excited to see how they go today against a genuine premiership threat.
Yeah, I think they are. You're right in what you say there, the Butchers. They are a premiership threat. And just touch on those Berkeley signings. Grayson Goodwin, that's massive. Last year playing in the Cronulla competition for Cornell, he was a standout. Year before, we know he led that Collegian side around. In that year, he was the leading point scorer of the competition. So we'll look for him today to really lay the foundations for this Berkeley side. And Mason Pure, he came down with Grayson Goodwin from that Cornell side. So he's going to be a big addition to the Berkeley Eagles. A big omission today for the Berkeley Eagles is their star signing for season 2019, Shannon Wakeman. We've seen him with the Cutters over the last couple of years, and he's going to be one to watch this year, and they will miss him today.
Yeah, they certainly will. It's going to be very interesting, as you mentioned. Both sides only with the one start. I know Thirroul were very impressive last week, but will complacency be an issue? That's going to be a different question. It is very blustery here also at Gibson Park, so who's going to use the wind better? We saw some high balls just in the reserve grade there. Wingers, fullbacks having a lot of problems. I'm 100% sure that will be a tactic today, and whatever back three can adjust to the conditions easiest and quickest, I think will go a long way to giving their side the advantage. Yeah,
well, you touched on Zeke Foster just moments ago, and I'm excited to watch him play. He's got big raps, as you said, ex-Wagga Kangaroo, been up in the Queensland Cup. He'll be steering this Berkeley side around the paddock, and from all reports, a sensational kicking game. So he will be used massively here today in these windy conditions. On the flip side, you've got the veteran Jake Walsh. Now, how good's he been the last couple of seasons? We've seen him up in the Intrust Super Premiership, back to Thirroul last year, and he was a standout for the Butchers. And a big plus for the Butchers today, only rocked up to training on Tuesday, is premiership player from the grand final, Callum Tatawa. Probably the try of the grand final he scored last season. He'll be wearing the Butchers colours for the first time in 2019.
That is very exciting. You mentioned that grand final try. It's the best I've ever seen. He beat about 8-9 blokes. He would have beat another 10 or 11 if you gave him the chance. Well, he just provides so much strike, doesn't he?
I tell you what, on Mad Monday, it was about 13 players he beat.
I bet he did. I bet he had a red-hot crack, and no doubt we'll see what he can do on the field today, given the chance. Having said that, do they go to the edges? I mean, it is very blustery. I'm sure it'll be a lot of short passing. The forwards will come into it. I think it'll be a lot of one-out stuff. Having said that, maybe they'll chance their arm. Maybe they'll take on this breeze and give it out to their edges because they've got so much strike power.
Yeah, I think we'll see a bit of middle play early, and then once they get settled into these conditions, I think we'll see them spread out wide and really play the centres. And just hearing around the grounds today, a big congratulations to big Reece Kennedy. Played with the Butchers 2 seasons ago. He's going to play first grade tomorrow for South Sydney. So well done, Reece. All from all the Butchers here and everyone at Bar TV. Been great calling you over the years, and hope you do the best in the NRL. As we see the Butchers kick off first down to the Berkeley Eagles. The Berkeley Eagles brought down on their 10-metre line. They'll come back to the open side through their big front row in Westman. And Westman, a Berkeley seasoned campaigner, earns his side 10 metres down the middle of the paddock. They'll continue to pepper that right-hand edge there through big Callum Corey. And Corey makes 8 metres, brought down by the skipper, Joel Johnson. They'll continue to pepper that right-hand edge through the lock. That's Curtis Fogland taking his first carry for the day. So the line speed for the Butchers looking good early. It was a big thing in their game last week against Dapto, as we see a nice big clearing kick by that man Zeke Foster. If we might get a 40-20 here, it's going to just pull up short. So a nice set there for the Berkeley Eagles first up.
It really was a great end of the set. Zeke Foster, you mentioned his kicking game, got it on a string. And interesting to see that the wingers were up. I think they'll drop back after seeing Zeke Foster with the early kick and finding some space over the right winger there.
Yeah, definitely. They will have to drop back. The back three for the Butchers, they're Blake Higgins, Hayden Crosland and Tom Simpson. They'll have to drop deep because this wind is swirling around. It's not really going at any direction at present. It seems to be just going anywhere at the moment. We see Tommy Simpson take the first carry of the set. The Butchers, they'll play the ball 25 metres out from their try line, and Simpson's come up with an error. So nice defensive work there from Foster and also Justin Fogland. So a good defensive effort there from the Eagles, and they're going to apply pressure on the Butchers first up.
Yeah, that was the last thing the Butchers needed. Berkeley, they were so composed coming out of their own end, got to a kick. Thirroul, they couldn't do the same. Let's see what the Eagles have here.
Yeah, it looks like Zeke Foster here is going to tee up with Jai Clapham here. They're just having a bit of a communication there. And out the back, we've got big Mason Pure. So it'll be interesting to see if he runs the leader a flat. We see Pure run a flat and gets past the first defensive effort there by Jay Gallagher. Eventually brought to the ground about 18 metres out from the Butchers try line. They'll continue to go the short side here, the Eagles. And there is Callum Corey skipping at the line, trying to find a bit of space in between the blue and white jerseys, but he's can't. He's brought down by 2 of the Butchers players. They'll go back to the open side. Clapham out the back to Foster, and Foster out to Gillard, but Gillard's come up with a bit of a fumble, and they're going to be called a knock on there. So they're not afraid to chance their arm early, the Berkeley Eagles.
And it is going to take time for this new spine to really gel and find those combinations, and we could see there the timing just wasn't there. Foster, the pass perhaps a little bit overrun there. So a chance gone begging, but a chance here for Thirroul to finally complete a set.
Yeah, as you said, they're going to have to work on their combinations. We've got a new halves pairing for Berkeley, and they've only played one game together, so the second run for these two, 6 and 7, they're only going to get better throughout the year, and Aaron McDonald, he'll really get that into them throughout the season. We've seen what a good coach he is. No disrespect to the Berkeleyers, they haven't had the calibre of the players the last few years, but the tail end of last season and looking into this season, there is promising signs for that little club down south.
There certainly is, as they really try to muscle up here. They're getting off the line with plenty of enthusiasm.
Yeah, they are. There's the Butchers, and one of their Butchers signings for this year, big Damien Sirinen, taking a huge hit up there. He's been met strongly by the Berkeley Eagles defensive unit, pushed him back 3 metres, and I tell you what, that's a big effort, because how tough is Damien Sirinen, and to push him back 3 metres, you've got to be doing well. There's the workhorse Mick Morris, he'll take a carry, attracting 3 of the Eagles players there, still inside the Butchers half of the football field. They'll be looking to go over halfway. Ryan Fletcher with the ball, sorry, that's Walsh with the ball, and a nice chip kick there from Walsh, finding the gap between the fullback and the winger, looking for the sideline, but it's well fielded there by Jason Gillard, and the chase, very good by the Butchers, looking to put Gillard over the sideline. They can't, he's brought to the ground inches from that eastern sideline. So the line speed of the Butchers, first class there, and they've come up with an error to Tower with the ball in hand. So now it's time for the Butchers. Can they post points early in this game? They're spread to the left. Walsh, he'll bring underneath him Noble. Big Jack Noble backing out. Just a silly error there from Jack Noble, trying to force the pass there. The Berkeley defence standing up to the task of the Butchers' attack there, and a little bit of a blown chance there for the Butchers.
Yeah, some nerves on both sides, some uncharacteristic errors from the Butchers, and also Berkeley coming up with what you'd consider a cardinal sin. You cannot be afford to giving the Butchers that field position. They got away with it that time.
Yeah, I don't think they'll get away with it again. You can only give the Butchers one chance. You do it again, and I'm sure they'll put points on the board as the Eagles trying to get out of their own area. Corey just stepping off that right foot back into the defensive unit of the Butchers. He'll be brought down to the ground from Morris and Noble. I'm sure Jack Noble will be looking to make up for that error only moments ago. They're going to the right here, the Eagles, through the lock forward in Curtis Fogland. So good 2 inclusions for the Eagles this year in Curtis Fogland and Justin Fogland. And a nice early kick here from Foster, but looking to find some gap down in between the fullback and the wingers. And we see Blake Higgins bring the ball back, the ex-Corrimal player from last year, his brother looking on in the crowd, having a good season up there the first few games with the South Sydney Canterbury Cup unit. As we see Crosland, he'll take his first carry of the game, and he had a blinder last week. Hayden Crosland scored a great try untouched down there at Dapto Showground. As we see him over the 40-metre line, they'll go to the left through Simpson. Simpson trying to have a safe carry this time. That he does over the halfway line. Johnson at acting half to the right to Dodge. Got the 3 on his back. We've seen him with the 11 and 12 over the last few seasons. Coach Costello opted to put him in the centres today. As we see them shift to the right, Walsh brings Noble underneath him, and a nice contact there. Noble into the gap. Can he get the arm free? He can't. Well, he's left the blue and yellow jerseys in his wake as Noble with a strong carry on the last to the right to Fletcher. Fletcher out to Gallagher. Gallagher goes line to Dodge. Dodge trying to bump off and get the arm free. Dodge pumping the legs, brought down.
Great tackle.
It was a great one-on-one tackle there from his opposite number in Kieran Jack. Good signs there for the Butchers.
Really was. Really exploiting the edges. Berkeley, good scramble defence. I think Foster may have affected that tackle from that initial break from Noble, and then out there, a great ball and all tackle to stop the very dangerous left edge with Dodge, and also out there Simpson. Yeah,
I was talking to Coach Costello just moments ago before the opening siren sounded here, and he was looking forward to this left edge. He said, I had Luke Dodge over the past few seasons playing the back row, and now I've got him out in the centres. Usually the older they get, you move into the middle of the field, but Dodgy, like a fine wine. Button. He's like a fine wine, Dodgy. As we see the charge down here from the Butchers, as we see a knock on there, we'll just see which way this is going to go.
It's going to be a Butchers ball, I'd imagine. I think it was off Berkeley. It was, let's see.
Yeah, it's going to be a Butchers feed. So another opportunity for the Butchers. They'll feed the scrum 20 metres out, and this left edge, I think they'll go this way again, where they had minor bit of luck just 2 sets ago.
They certainly did. Dodge really hungry for the ball, which is always good to see. A big frame, and he's standing at first receiver here, and that's where they go. Here
we go, Dodge with the ball, looking to pass, but we all know he won't. He puts it under his wing and goes forward. Hill's brought down 15 metres out from the try line. They're set to the right, the Butchers. Noble with a strong carry, pumping the legs, brought down 5 metres shy. Johnson at acting half. They're set to the right, the Butchers. Johnson jumps out to Walsh. Walsh on to the back rower in Jay Gallagher. Try time for the Butchers. They'll open the account. Jay Gallagher, what a try. But it was all the work from Joel Johnson out of acting half, combining there with Jake Walsh, and the skies opened up for the back rower.
They were set for it. They were deep, and a great line by Gallagher. Just a little bit of an overs line at the end there, and straight through a yawning gap. Berkeley, they're going to have to defend tighter, and if they get them on the edge, so be it. But I know that Aaron McDonald will be very disappointed that they were able to go through with consummate ease there.
Yeah, they all hung off Joel Johnson there, and to his credit, he's so dangerous from anywhere in the paddock. You just don't know what Johnson's going to do. He's the form number 9 in this competition for so many years, and if you give him that chance to run, he goes himself or he passes. You just don't know what to do. But he linked up there beautifully with Walsh, and Walsh, all he had to do was draw and pass. And what a line from that back rower, Jay Gallagher, to open the account for the Butchers. 12 minutes remaining in this first quarter. Good signs for Jared Costello's men.
Great shape on that play. You could see that they had options. They had the crash ball line there, and then they had numbers out the back galore. I think it was 3-on-1, but as we saw, Gallagher was able to go straight through a yawning gap, and now a chance to add the extras.
As we see Luke Gallagher attempting to add the 2 points, and he does. The flags are up down the northern end. That ball sails over the blue dot. The Butchers 6, the Berkeley Eagles 0. They'll be looking to force an error here off a big kickoff in these windy conditions.
And as for Berkeley, again, we talk about errors down their own end, and that was very costly. That really was a costly error. I know that it was off a charge down. It was sort of stacks on the mill, but as we see, the Butchers went straight on the attack, and they capitalised.
They sure are, and here we go. We've got Foster to get us back underway. It's a long, deep kick down for Foster. He's found the grass here, and it's fielded by Hayden Crosland in his own goal line, and he's passed it on there to Sirinen, and Sirinen bends his back off the back fence and brings it back. We've come up with an error. So again, a sin there, a cardinal sin there from the Butchers in their own red zone. So now a chance for the Berkeley Eagles to bounce back on the scoreboard. And it's one of those coach killers, that, isn't it?
Oh, Johnny Nostradamus, pet, you called it. The Berkeley, they were hunting, they were looking for that error, and that's exactly what they got. And this will be a real opportunity to see what this Berkeley attack has. Yeah,
we'll just see they're set to the righty. Let's see what Foster can orchestrate here off the back of this scrum. He'll come across, so bring his back rower back underneath him. And it's a nice little play there from the Berkeley Eagles, just setting up both sides of the ruck now. It goes to Wallace. Wallace at acting half. He'll go back to the sticks to the front rower in Westman. And Westman driving those legs, trying to bust through the Butchers' defence. He can't. He's brought down. Wallace at acting half to the right. And it's a nice ball there from Clapham, but it's just gone astray there. It ends up into the Butcher's arms there of Hayden Crosland. So a little bit of miscommunication on that left-hand fringe.
Yeah, it looks a little clunky at the moment, the Berkeley attack. Understandably, I know they've only had the one start, whereas this Thirroul side, very set. A lot of returning players from last year. They all know each other's games. But Berkeley, they've got talent, there's no question, but it's going to take some time just to get on the same page.
Yeah, it will take time, and Clapham, the idea was there. It's just his outside backs there just couldn't read what he was trying to do with that ball. We see a nice big clearing kick there for touch by the skipper, Joel Johnson. A big touch finder 40 metres out from the Berkeley Eagles try line as they're set to the left. Here we go, the try scorer, Jay Gallagher. He'll take the first carry of the set, and it's a good carry. Attracting 3 of the Eagles players, still going, eventually brought down 25 metres out from the try line. They're set to the left. Fletcher to Luke Gallagher. Luke Gallagher shapes to pass, bumps off Foster. Can't get past the defence of Fogland. Brought down, they're set to the right, the Butchers. Fletcher brings the workhorse Morris back underneath him. So Morris is brought down 11 metres out from the try line. Johnson to the right, to Sirinen. Sirinen gives it to his front row partner in Noble. Noble just brought down a millimetre to the white stripe at the northern end. They're set, they're going. Here we go, Sirinen's going to crash over. He sure does. Give that man, Joel Johnson, credit again. Oh, he's been held up here. So a big effort there from the Berkeley Eagles defensive unit there to hold up the big front rower in Damien Sirinen. So hard to stop from anywhere in the field, let alone a metre out from the try line. But they're set here, the Butchers to the short. Walsh to a big face ball to Crosland. Crosland puts it on the boot, but it's been knocked over the sideline. So probably not the ideal end of the set there from the Butchers that they wanted.
No, and credit to Berkeley. Great scramble. It looked like Sirinen was going to turn provider for Noble, and then when Noble didn't score, it looked like Sirinen had crashed over, but they hung in, they kept defending, and they forced the Butchers to go out wide, and they were able to come up with the ball.
You've got to think that Aaron McDonald will be pleased with that defensive set.
They've had to do a lot of it in their own quarters, so yeah, look, he'd be very pleased with that, but I think he'd also be calling for better line speed, really restrict those penalties and also cut out those errors.
There's good signs defensively on their own goal line from the Berkeley Eagles. The trouble is when they've gone down the other end, the combinations, as we touched on, just aren't working at the present time. But I think over time we're going to see Clapham and Foster form a great combination at 6 and 7. The Eagles on the last, a nice big clearing kick there from Foster, splitting the 1 and the 2. Crosland eventually comes back. It looked like a little bit of a knock on, but no. Crosland, he'll dummy it, go himself. He's met by a wall of Eagles defence there. Crosland standing in the tackle.
Johnny Pett, he was very, very lucky. That was a knock-on for your life.
Yeah, I think it was a knock-on, but we got to go with what the referee says, and the referee hasn't called him. See, to Tower, taking a scoot out of acting half, brought down, and he's come up with an error. So Callum to Tower coming up with an error. So they are forcing the errors down in the Thirroul end of the field, the Berkeley Eagles. Now let's see if they can capitalise on the back end of this.
And I just think with that breeze, and we talk about maybe erring away from those wide passes, I think Berkeley have struggled when they've gone out wide, whether it's the cohesion, whether it's the wind. They might just try and go up the middle of the Butchers here. Let's see.
Yeah, I think they'd be better off just to lay the foundation early, go up the middle of the field, and then on the tail end of the sets, then start spreading it wide. As we see Gillard with the ball in hand, skips at the line, brought down. So they're set each sides of the ruck here. They're going to pepper the short side here through Fogland. Fogland steps off the right. He's met in a good front-on tackle there from Fletcher with the assistance of Noble and Gallagher. So Wallace at acting half. They're set to the left. Stokes, the ex-Butcher, out the back to Foster. Foster dummies, goes himself. And that's a penalty to the Berkeley Eagles. So a high shot there on Foster. So another chance here for the Eagles. He looks dangerous, Foster, doesn't he?
He really does. He asks questions of the defence, and his kicking game has been so far superb. He's found the turf on regular occasions.
And there's the big red-headed folks. Big red-head Stokes looking to bust through the line. They're set to the right of the Eagles. Foster, short ball to Fogland. Fogland's got the arm free, but he's brought down 5 metres out from the try line. The Eagles set to the left. The Butchers' defence scrambling. Foster gets a high ball there. Brings it down to the lock forward. Fogland, Curtis Fogland that is, brought down centre of the paddock. They're set left to right of the Eagles. Wallace goes to the front rower in Westman, and Westman just brought down inches from the try line. Which way are they going to go? They're set left to right. The Butchers scrambling. Wallace to Fogland, but a poor ball there to Fogland. But a good pick up there around his bootlaces. So he's centre of the paddock. The Eagles on the last. Can they post points? Foster goes to the line, puts a grubber kick through, looking for his winger. It's nutty, Tommy Simpson, and it looks like a try to the Eagles winger in Cooper May. We'll just wait for confirmation. Yes, it is. So the Eagles, they'll strike back.
Oh, Zeke Foster taking the ball to the line, and the pinpoint perfect grubber. The Butchers, they couldn't handle it, and Mr. Johnny on the spot. It was a great piece of work there by Cooper May.
It was, and a great work there from Zeke Foster. He just looks so dangerous. He holds that ball up right to the last minute. We've seen him just go to that line. Sometimes he dummies, sometimes he passes. This time the Butchers' defence had hung off him. They didn't know what he was going to do. This time he was too smart. Put the ball onto his foot, kicked it through, and poor Tommy Simpson there, it just went nuttied him straight through his legs. He looked in between his legs where the ball's gone, and there was Cooper May on the spot to slam it down. 4 minutes to go, the Eagles down by 2. An important kick this here for Grayson Goodwin.
And it'll be a tough one. Having said that, would you believe it? He gets a kick at goal. The wind has absolutely died down. So we'll see if he can get away the kick quickly here, because I think it's going to pick up very, very shortly. But, like we mentioned, Zeke Foster, I mean, he had the composure. We look at that pass from Bailey Wallace on the 4th tackle. It took the momentum out of the Eagles' attack, but Foster was able to get a kick, get it in the in goal, and luck's of fortune.
Yeah, it was a little bit of stop-start there, but Foster comes up with the goods. Grayson Goodwin with the boot. It looks good, but it's just sprayed to the right of the upright. And as he walked into that, the wind did pick up. So if he took it only seconds earlier, he might have got still conditions there for the kick. But Grayson Goodwin, a sharp shooter. Unlikely and very sometimes we just see him never miss a goal. We see him come back 100% each week, but this time, luckily for the Butchers faithful here, he has missed that goal. So the score remains the Butchers 6, the Eagles 4. 2 minutes remaining in this first quarter as we see Lukey Gallagher get us back underway with a nice deep kick there that's battered back infield from the Berkeley Eagles, who'll be looking to get a good clean kick on the tail end of their set and really turn around this big Butchers pack that's been so dominant in this first 20 minutes. And it's been a big opening 20 minutes for the Butchers.
It really has, but having said that, the fact the Eagles were able to get on the scoreboard early, that was key, because Butchers, they breed on confidence, and that'll take a bit of a hit for them, and it'll be interesting to see what resolve they have as the Eagles get a penalty against them.
Incorrect play the ball here. We'll just wait for the call, and yes, it is. It's an absolute coach killer, and we've said it over many years commentating and watching these Illawarra competition. These guys, they're semi-professional athletes, and we teach our under-7s kids how to play the ball properly, so I've got no ill feeling for them playing it wrong, because I know if my young bloke played it like that, I'd be into him as well. As we see the Butchers with a chance. A minute to go before the quarter-time break. Walsh brought to the ground 15 metres out. We're into the last minute. Can the Butchers put points on the board, or can the Berkeley Eagles stand up defensively and shut down this Butchers attack. Centre of the paddock, the Butchers are. Here they are. Joel Johnson, he'll go out the back to Fletcher. They're up on Fletcher. It's come out to Higgins. Higgins on to Dodge, a crowd favourite. Lukey Dodge, he'll bring it round and put it closer to the uprights. Great try there from the Butchers. They orchestrated that well on the left-hand side.
Well, there was a Berkeley player that rushed in, but the other players outside him held off, and that just opened up the room for Luke Dodge to go steaming through. They held off on the line, and they were never going to stop the big fella that close. And, geez, he looks right at home there on the edge in the centres.
Looks very comfy in that 3 jersey, doesn't he, Dodgy? But, yeah, they shot up on Fletcher then, but the outside players didn't shoot up with them. If they shot up there all together, it would have been a different story. They would have shut down that left-hand side attack there, but just one out there on Fletcher, costing the Berkeley Eagles 4 points, and they really shouldn't be behind that far on the scoreboard going into this quarter-time break, because defensively they've been very, very sound on their own try line, and when they've made their way down the other end of the field, they have looked very good in patches. A little bit of a shame the Berkeley have let that try in only seconds before the quarter-time siren.
There's no question that the one word Aaron McDonald will be mentioning is errors. That has killed the Eagles, and that is the reason they're behind on the scoreboard. They have been otherwise been pretty good. Like you said, their defence has been impressive as that one goes straight over. And a crucial kick that was as well, because we're seeing an 8-point lead.
Yes, it's an 8-point lead to the Butchers going into the quarter-time break. The home side 12, and the Berkeley Eagles 4, and we're just getting some confirmation the Berg are in front, 4 points to 0. At half-time up at Rex Jackson Oval against the Western Suburbs Red Devils. As we said earlier on, the winner of today will face Collegians in the final of the Challenge Cup Friday night, 7:30 at Zeens Park. Hamo, we might have a quick break and we'll get back to everyone on this live stream broadcast in just a few moments.
Welcome back to the coverage. Second quarter getting underway here in this Challenge Cup game to see who goes into the final. It's Thirroul leading 12-4 over Berkeley at the moment. Johnny Pett, what do you think the quarter time messages were?
Aaron McDonald would have said discipline. They really need discipline and to hold that ball. The tries have come off a couple of little silly errors in their own area, costing the Berkeley Eagles points. And I'm sure Jared Costello would have just sent out to his men as well as the errors, because we've seen a couple of early handling errors from both sides. The longer this game goes, I think we'll see less errors.
And Zeke Foster, no doubt the key for the Eagles as they get first use of the football, and it's Pure with a strong charge. She's been impressive to start this game out on the left edge. As now we see, as we mentioned before, Stokes, the former Butcher, he's been good. He's really given some starch to this Eagles middle as the ball's turned on the inside from Foster, and they work it over the 30. The Butchers looking to make a statement with his opening set as Foster goes on his outside. He took it to the line, and it was the fullback there and Gillard who couldn't handle it. So he's come up with a couple of errors, and they can't quite get on the same page, those two, at the moment, Johnny Pett.
No, the combination there isn't working there, but that man we've spoken about who scored the last try, Luke Dodge, he shot out there and put pressure on Gillard, and Gillard just took his eyes off the ball for a fraction of a second and see Dodgy coming. So good work there from the Butchers centre. But yes, that combination 6, 1 and 7 has to improve for the Eagles.
I was going to say, he heard the pitter-patter, but it was more like the big stampede. It was like an elephant coming at him. As the scrum is fed on halfway, Johnson out the back there. He goes to his winger and Simpson, geez, he's a strong ball carrier. He's a big lump of a lad. They breed the wingers big out in the Butchers' country. As it now it goes out to the edge, and Gallagher, he scored one try. He's clean through. He steps off his right. Gallagher under a high one. He gets over the line and scores. It's a double for Gallagher, and the Butchers now with some breathing space.
Yeah, nice try there from Jay Gallagher, the big number 12, scores 2 for the day. And I tell you what, he's hitting that line at speed and hitting holes very, very well. Even copped a head eye around the chops then. That wasn't going to stop him. Dragged 2 of the Eagles players over the line and slammed that pigskin into the ground at the northern end. The Butchers looking good in the first 2 minutes of this second quarter.
They say you can't run without a head. Try telling Jay Gallagher that. He did exactly that. He copped a high one, kept going. Too strong, too big. The Butchers now starting to just open up an advantage which will be very hard to reel in, and again it just comes down to errors. They haven't been able to complete many of their sets. I'd like to see the completion rate, Johnny Pett.
Yeah, I think we'd like to see it, but Aaron McDonald wouldn't want to have a bar of it, I think, so far in this first 2 quarters. But yeah, come off that error to Gillard just in front of us only moments ago. The Butchers set their line so well there. Their attacking side, their left and right, we touched on their left-hand side earlier on, but the right-hand side is where they've scored their 2 tries. Well, 2 out of the 3 tries we see. Lukey Gallagher puts this one over the blue dot again. 3 from 3, Gallagher with the boot. 18 points to 4. And we've still got 18 minutes remaining in this second quarter. And what have the Eagles got to do now? They've really got to put this all behind them and restart here.
Well, apart from really stopping these errors, it's all about stopping this edge. I mean, they go to the right. They've got Gallagher out one side. They've got Dodge wreaking havoc out on the left. They need to find answers. They need to really come up with some purpose in defence, because at the moment it's turnstile stuff, and it's the Gallagher's 14, Berkeley 4. So play underway as we see another high-ish tackle. Sirinen getting an offload away. Second phase play there from the Butchers as they work it out of their own red zone. Berkeley really stung with tries either side of quarter time. As we see a big don't argue there, it was Bailey Wallace copping some from the freshman on the field, and Joel Ruskin who gets a penalty as well.
Yeah, he's been a revolution, Joel Ruskin, over the last few years. A winger years ago, as we touched on. Dodgy's gone out to the centres with age, but Rusco's gone in the middle of the field. The evergreen Joel Ruskin there with a good first carry.
It's amazing how many wingers find a good paddock later in their careers. Now Johnson going back out to Ruskin. Ruskin taking it towards the line. There's 3 in there bringing him down, including there in the 20 at Stokes. Johnson now probing through the middle of the park. He goes, gives it to Walsh, and they were up quickly on the very diminutive and very dangerous number 7 from the Butchers. as they go to Gallagher, who is just wreaking havoc out that side. Again, he carries the defence with some interest, but the ball was stripped out. Another penalty the Eagles give away.
Yeah, it's something they didn't need to do there, is strip the ball out from Jay Gallagher. It's probably the only way they're going to stop him today, strip the ball out, because he's just wreaking havoc on that right-hand fringe. But again, the Berkeley Eagles, they're going to have their backs to the wall here because the Butchers, 6 tackles up their sleeve, 20 metres out from the try line.
Well, we talk about Gallagher not being fazed by copping high shots. I think they really need to go in and chop him low because he's getting a lot of leg drive. He's beating the first up tackles. Let's see what the Butchers have here as a lifting tackle. Looked fairly suspect as we see a wide pass there from Johnson. That's touched. That'll be play on for the Butchers. And a saloon passage to the corner from the custodian, Blake Higgins. He's had a quiet start, but in one of his rare touches, finds some open space. Johnny Pett, the edge from the Eagles, just went missing on that occasion. Yeah, they sure did. They didn't read that defensively right again. They've come up with a few defensive errors there. They're just not numbering up and manning up. But young Higgins there, Blake Higgins, in the Butchers side this year, we've seen him at Corrimal last season. He's electric when he gets that ball in hand. And we watched him last week in that convincing victory, the Butchers over the Canaries. Once he got his hand on the ball a lot more, I really liked the look of Blake Higgins with the ball in hand. A good try to the Butchers, and 22 points to 4. We still got 14 minutes remaining in this second quarter. This is starting to look scary, isn't it?
It sure is, and you've got to think they put 44 on a Dapto outfit last week, and they were already 22 points to 4, and we're only in the second quarter.
If you're Aaron McDonald, do you consider changing up those edges because they are absolutely getting pummeled left and right? Yeah, they've got to do something. But in saying that, it's a different Berkeley side today than what we've seen in round 1 and also what we're going to see throughout the year. Talking to Coach Aaron McDonald, there's 6 players out of today's first grade side due to a wedding. So, look, they are really going to improve on what men they've got out here today. But I tell you what, if they can stick together here, this Berkeley side, put a few points on the board, stop this Butchers onslaught there, it'll be confidence building for them throughout the season. Luke Gallagher with his first miss. He tried to bend it like Beckham, but unfortunately it wasn't through the uprights, didn't even have the legs. As Foster gets us back underway, a false start. He'll go again, the ball coming off the tee. Been one of the rare shining lights, it has to be said. Zeke Foster. And a great take, plucked out of the air as if he was playing a game of Aussie rules. Now Siernan back, and it's gone forward, a forward pass the ruling, and not for the first time today we've seen the Butchers make a mistake after points. I think that's the third time that after points they've come up with an error there, and that a forward pass. Jake Bolshy done such a great job there plucking that one out of the sky there, but it was just overrun there from big Damien Siernan. So the Eagles now, they'll feed the scrum 10 metres out. They need to cross now, Corey, don't they? They really do need to put points on the board and boost some confidence. They certainly do, as Goodwin stands one off and he feeds Foster. Foster going out the back this time. He links up with Gillard, and there's 3, including Dodge, there to meet him. He'll be brought down 11 metres out. Well, they're going to get no better chance than this to hit back the Eagles. They won't hit back on that occasion because Ruskin and company were up very quickly. So the ball back to Foster. He had to reach above his head to get that one. He didn't like what he saw out the left, so he probes to the right. But again, that left edge defence from the Butchers is solid as they really try and probe. And look at Dodge come over the top, says, thank you, you're mine. And a penalty. They'll get another set. But the Butchers haven't really been tested yet. No, but I think they're about to get tested here. Dodgy a little bit too keen there defensively, and it's a big chance for the Eagles. This time they give it some air. Foster going out there to Gillard. Gillard through the big dummy. They weren't falling it for it on the inside. Gallagher was there to make the tackle. Puree now with the big don't argue. Gets away from one. Tries to bump over Gallagher, who came in and made an important tackle as they go now to Foster. He threw the big dummy as well, and there was no gap forthcoming for the creative number 7. So now they spread it back out there to Gillard. Gillard goes to Puree, who puts it on the boot, but the chasers weren't aware. It doesn't sit up. It'll be out to the 20. That wasn't the play. No, it definitely wasn't. I don't think the outside backs there of Cooper May really knew that that kick was coming because Puree just went to the line there. Probably not a noted
kicker in this side there and just put it on the boot and hope for a bit of luck. They really need to leave those kicking duties to the likes of Foster and Clapham if they're going to have any success on the tail end of those sets.
Simpson with a strong charge there as now the back three look to get involved and really relieve the forwards of some duty after defending stoutly in that set, as we see Big Dodge going into the middle for some work. Up over the halfway, the Butchers, some good meters already. They've got a 7-tackle set, we should say, as well, as we see the big don't argue from Whitty, and Whitty getting it back to his skipper, who goes under the post. Oh, it's a training run at the moment for the Butchers.
Well, Jared Whitty, he only's just come onto the field there. The skies have opened up for him, and then he found his skipper inside of him. So the Butchers opting to use 2 number 9s on the paddock at the moment, and it's all one-way traffic here at Gibson Park.
What I will say is very unusual about that try. It was straight up the middle. They've had plenty of success on the edge. Up until that point, the Eagles were good in the middle. They'll be very disappointed. Aaron McDonald will be filthy with his middle after probing and probing, getting repeat sets on the Butchers line, then to give away a try that meekly down the other end just a set later. That will be a source of a lot of frustration.
And it's come on the tail end of that 7-tackle set, and we've seen how useful they are in the competition there. The kick from Puree going over the dead ball line and the Butchers just marching their way down the paddock. The use of that extra tackle, it's so beneficial, isn't it?
Have a look at this. We're going back to the old days. Gallagher, is he going to go the toe poke? And he's nailed it.
I didn't think he was going over the crossbar then. You know what, I'd like to have that one to miss and just gave it to him tonight at the Ryans. I said, Gal, what were you doing?
Well, geez, if these two sides meet in the last round for a spot in the finals, or if it's in a prelim and he's doing that, I think there'll be some heart palpitations from Jared Costello.
Yeah, well, that just goes to show the confidence of this Butchers outfit at the moment, doesn't it? If they're doing things like that. Gal will kick it with his right foot next.
Geez, we might see a kicking duel very shortly. Back to the halcyon days. So 28-4, still 9 minutes left, and we're only in the second quarter. This could get ugly for the Eagles. They really need to muscle up and show a bit of spirit, a bit of character. I know, Johnny Pett, you mentioned they are missing some key personnel, but they really need to make a statement here.
Yeah, they sure do. They really need to stand up here. And, you know, these guys, some of these players, will see them feature in reserve grade throughout the year, and it'll be character building for these guys to drop back from first grade into reserve grade and really take something out of this challenge against the Butchers here today, as we see Sirenen with a strong carry.
And a nice little offload as well, as they find some space on that left edge again. The first up tackling is just non-existent from the Eagles. Dodge, look at that. Dodging, he's like a Dodgem car. Bumping away from defenders. Finally, Fogland came in and brought him down, as we see now. Luke Gallagher going towards the middle of the park. He'll play it right on halfway. Now Johnson looking out to his right, but he might want to go back to the left. He doesn't, or does he? He goes up the middle. So finding some success. Sirenen was looking to get an unload away, but the trailing supporter just overran it. A dummy from Johnson, then the fend. A good tackle on Joel Johnson. He was maybe sniffing another try as they go to the short side. It's Higgins. He goes to Dodge. Dodge gets on the outside, and that'll be 6 again.
Yeah, it will be 6 again then. We've seen Blake Higgins there with the ball in hand early in that set, and I've touched on it before. I really like the look of him when he gets that ball on the hand. He can play as an extra 6 or 7, and I think that Jared Costello will use him like that throughout the year. Take a little pressure off Fletcher and Walsh.
There's not much of him, but I tell you what, he's an out-and-out speedster. We saw with that try he scored just prior to the quarter-time break. If he gets some more open space, it could be good night, and he could be in for a few more meat pies.
With bright yellow fluoro boots, you'd want to have speed.
Absolutely. You can't make a statement like that and not have the wheels to go with it. As we see the Butchers set deep to the right. What will they throw here? Walsh taking it to the line, and Gallagher was again looking to score his 3rd try of the afternoon. It was a similar play to what got him a first try. To Towers collared. A good tackle. Had he got on the outside, the Butchers were in. Walsh now almost standing still. He gives it to Gallagher. And Gallagher, who's probably had the most touches of anyone in this Butcher's outfit is brought down 5 metres out. Now they go short to Sirinen. The hit and spin. Foster trying to hang on, and Sirinen going towards the try line. They hold him up and only just a metre short. Johnson going to his blind side. He finds Gallagher. A no-look pass to his winger, and now Simpson. Simpson for the line. Too big, too strong. Oh, the Butchers. They're looking to rack up a cricket score here in front of their home faithful here at Gibson Park.
Well, he had no right to score that, Tommy Simpson, there, did he? He had plenty of players in front of him, plenty of defenders from the Berkeley Eagles, but he wanted it more, Tommy Simpson. He's crashed over in the corner and he's picked up his first try for today, and it looks like he's picked up a little bit of a rib injury there, Tommy Simpson. He'll be looking to get the shirt off and flex out the abs about that very shortly, but to his credit, a lot of good work there from Simpson. But what about the short ball from Walsh onto Sirinen in the previous play before it? That combination is looking lethal.
It looked very slick, and a little bit of arrogance there from the man who's going to attempt this goal as well. The no-look pass from Luke Gallagher. Fortunately, it came off, but, geez, you've got to be careful with that. Maybe they know the score, and perhaps now they're trying to throw it round and have a little bit of fun, but they can't go away from what's been working for them in the opening quarter and a half.
No, and knowing Jared Costello's coaching style, I'm sure at this half-time break he'll have a word to his boys about that, sticking to the guns. Let's not try something outside the box. Let's really stick to what we know and playing good, consistent football, because you can turn around and it can really affect your season if you start doing stupid things this early.
And this time, Gallagher, it looked all right, but that wind took it across the face. Again, he misses that attempt. 32-4, 4 minutes left until half-time. What do you take out of this in terms of Berkeley's performance thus far? It's been very disappointing defensively. They've leaked a few errors. What can they take out of this?
I think at half-time they've really got to reset. They've got to forget about this first half and really focus on the next two 20-minute quarters, because there's only been slight little patches of brilliance from Berkeley. There's a lot of things that they're going to have to work on, and Coach Aaron McDonald has probably got a spreadsheet the size of my arm of key things that he wants to say to his men at half-time.
That's an almighty spreadsheet. I've seen the size of your arm. As now the Butchers work it away from their own end. So Fletcher turning it on the inside, and it's Gallagher to play it. Now Dodge straightening up, surging towards halfway, and he got a little bit of assistance in that ball coming out the back, and, well, they're not helping themselves, are they, Berkeley?
No, discipline there. Again, on the tail end of sets, they've come up with an error and given the Butchers another chance. 6 tackles in the Berkeley territory.
Johnson opting not to take the kick for touch, and a player down, injured for Berkeley. And it's the big number 8, Callum Corey. 3 sets of brothers on this field today. 2 for the Eagles, 1 for the Butchers.
We'll see Lukey Gow come off here, a bit of a gash to the right eyebrow. I think we've seen Mick Morris come off earlier with a bit of blood to the face. So
Jack Noble coming on in the 14 jersey. So the chance for the Butchers now to regroup. The ball to be played on the 30. Johnson going probing, throwing the dummy, getting the offload away. That might be 6 again. I think there was a touch there from Berkeley as Higgins comes up with the ball. He tries to slice through a gap and almost did so. They're into the Berkeley red zone already. Thirroul looking for try number 7 for the afternoon in the 15 jersey. It's Whitty. He's already found one line break today. Tried to go through again. Slow play the ball. Perhaps trying to milk it there, Whitty. No, he will get the penalty. It's going from bad to worse for Berkeley. Foster calling for troops out on the left, but they've got to worry about up the middle because that's where the Butchers have gone through. It's held up.
That was Jay Gallagher there looking for 3.
And he wasn't far away. They managed to roll him on his back like a stranded turtle. He'll go back out to the 10 where he'll play it. So Noble on the park, and now Higgins out the back. Higgins going to the winger there, and Crosland searching for some space. He shrugs away from one, but the cavalry comes in for the Eagles, and they effect the tackle finally. 6 metres out. Options left, right. Johnson, he decides to go short and straight through. Ruskin, I think it was, trying to get that ball down, but it came out. Might have had some assistance. The knock-on's the call. It'll be in goals, out to the 27 tackles.
Yeah, so Ruskin, he's just tried to stretch out there and get off the nudie run early in the season and force the ball down, but he's just come up with an error. So they've come up with a good play there, the Eagles. 25 seconds remaining in this first half, 32 points to 4, and they've really racked them up in this second quarter.
Yeah, the half-time siren couldn't come quick enough as Liam Corey now with the football, 12 short of halfway. Now on the 17 jersey, it's Payne on the field. There's the siren. They just get it away in time, and losing the handle on that one was Clapham. So that will see us out to half-time. A dominant half by the home side, and they are all over this one. 32 points to 4. Johnny, what do you make of that first half?
It was all one-way traffic. You know, we've seen glimpses in that first opening minutes of the first quarter where we really thought Berkeley were going to nail down and make this a tight contest, but the longer the game went on, the more dominance the Butchers showed, and once those gaps started appearing in the Berkeley Eagles defensive line, it was just all one-way traffic. The Butchers full of confidence there. As we touched on, they were doing flick passes with no one there. They were just trying things that you wouldn't see. That's how much confidence they have, the Butchers, at the moment, and to their credit, 32 points to 4, why wouldn't you be?
Well, the Butchers came up just shy of the premiership last year, but they are a team hungry, and they're showing it here early in the season in round 2, this deferred game of the Challenge Cup. 32 points to 4 at half-time. We've still got 40 minutes. Can the Eagles bounce back? We'll find out shortly. We'll take a break and be back with the third quarter.
Well, welcome back to Gibson Park. In what we can say is all one-way traffic here in the first two quarters. 32 points to 4. The Butchers went into the sheds. All smiles in the Butchers camp. Aaron McDonald's men. There would have been a lot to say at half-time, Hamo.
There would have been. Obviously, they're undermanned today. You mentioned 7 players out. They were at a wedding, but if you do have those players out, you've got to do the simple things right. And that's what they've neglected to do. If they cut out the errors, they cut out the penalties, they'll at least stay with the Butchers in this second half. Otherwise, if they don't do that, this will be a cricket score. There's no question about that.
Yeah, definitely. If the Butchers can put the foot on the accelerator and continue the form into the second half, we're really going to see a cricket score racked up. I'd really like to see the Eagles muscle up and plug up those defensive gaps, because at times, we've touched on it, they have looked good. The 6 and 7, once that combination clicks, I think they'll be right, but it's the silly errors letting the Eagles down.
It really is. I like the look of Foster, and as I said, I'm a little bit biased because I have played at the same club as him, but he's had some nice touches. But he needs some blokes to really pull their finger out and go with him.
And we are underway in the second half. Luke Gallagher will get that one inside the eastern touchline, take the first hit up of the set for the Butchers. Good carry there from Gallagher. They'll go to the open side through Simpson. Simpson looking for a hole in that defensive unit of the Eagles. He can't. He's brought down. So 2 carries there for the Butchers. Both carries over 10 metres each. So good metres early in this set. Ruskin, the evergreen Joel Ruskin, just clipped a little bit high there around the chin. It's not going to worry him. He'll get up and play the ball. They'll continue to pepper the right side. Walsh finding a gap there. No. Brought down over into Eagles territory. He'll be told to get up and play the ball. That he does. They'll go to the right to Higgins, and Higgins onto the 2-time try scorer in Jay Gallagher. So Gallagher 40 metres out from the Eagles line. Look good here on the last. Johnson to the short side to Tower. Puts it on the boot. Tiara is chasing hard, but it's just going to roll over the sideline there. Good first upset there from the Butchers.
It really was. What I like, Jake Walsh taking the ball to the line and taking the tackle as well. I know that there would be that very big temptation with the way that they've cut them down the left and the right to shift the ball and really play laterally, but he's taking it to the line and he's saying to the Berkeley defence, don't hang off me because I will certainly ask questions.
And he had a real good season last year, Jake Walsh. He had that combination with Jack Payne, who's gone up to Mounties this season, and the combination he had with Lee Higgins last year, the 6, 7 and 1, it was the best in the competition in my mind. So we talk about the combination that the Eagles have got to form in their 6 and 7. They've got a new halves partnership here at the Butchers as well.
That's the big challenge for them, isn't it? As they work it away out of their own end.
So the Eagles trying to get it out of their red zone. They're cramped up here, all hanging behind the ruck. They'll go to the open side. There's their big front rower in Callum Corey. So Corey gets it away. It's a chip and chase from Grayson Goodwin, but it's been brought back. He got the ball away to Grayson Goodwin, and Goodwin, he chanced his kick there, chip and chase, but it's been brought back as a forward pass. I tell you what, I really would have liked to have seen Berkeley score then and turn it back on the scoreboard.
Look, it was a borderline ball. I would have loved to have seen them let that one go. It was a brilliant offload and it was nice support play. That's what Berkeley needs to do. They need to take the ball first and foremost forward, look to a bit of second phase play and trail those big forwards that can unload the ball.
And I tell you, out of all that, a sniper's got Grayson Goodwin. He's getting the attention from the trainer in back play there, and he's actually coming to the sideline here. So that is going to be a massive blow for the Berkeley Eagles if Grayson Goodwin can't return to the field.
Yeah, just having a look, he's clutching that left quad. I'm wondering whether that might have just twinged, and I know firsthand they hurt and they are very difficult to mend if you don't look after them.
So you're saying you're as fast as Grayson Goodwin in the day, Hamo?
No, I never got out a second, but that's all it took for the twin.
Now the Butchers have gone the short side here to Tower, trying to flick it out to Tiara. He's wrestling his way in that tackle, finally brought to the ground. The Butchers 30 metres out from the Eagles try line. They're set to the left to Walsh. Walsh goes crossfield, dummies to Gallagher, brings Noble underneath him. Noble brought to the ground 25 metres out. Johnson at acting half to Walsh. Walsh dummies, goes to the line to Higgins. Higgins has got wheels in motion out wide, gives it on to Dodge, and Dodge bumps off the 7 in Foster. So Dodge, 12 metres out, the Butchers. Can they create some magic here? Luke Gallagher, dummies, goes himself, looking for that try line. He's brought down 10 metres out, the Butchers. Set to the right, Ruskin, looking for a try. He taps it on to Whitty, but Whitty's crunched by the Berkeley Eagles there. Picked up Whitty, looked to go for a spear tackle, but they've put him to the ground, and just a silly error there, Hamo, from the Berkeley Eagles.
They were defending so stoutly. You mentioned there that Dodge ran straight over the top of Foster, still managed to bring him down, but unfortunately they undid all the good work in defence.
So 6 tackles here for the Butchers, 5 metres out from the try line. Walsh to Noble. Noble trying to find the try line. He can't. He's brought down 5 metres from the blue dot. Johnson darts out himself, gives a short ball to Ruskin, but Ruskin, millimetre. There's a blade of grass between him and the try line. Johnson at acting half. A good face ball there. Was
6
going
again.
too Noble, but it's going to be 6 again here. A knock on to the Berkeley Eagles. How much more can they withstand here, the Eagles? This will be the 3rd repeat set within 10 metres of the try line.
They're showing a lot of character, but you just wonder what this is doing in terms of fatigue. Set after set, it's relentless. Forwards running lines, and they're throwing a lot at Berkeley. They're holding on for the moment. Let's see if they can do it again.
Well, something's going to happen out here because we've got Walsh talking to Gallagher. I'm sure Walsh is going to go to the line here and give Gallagher number 3 very shortly, and that's the way they go. Walsh with the ball in hand. Dummies to Gallagher. Goes across field. Tiata's unmarked. Great work there, Jake Walsh, and a good try there from Jaden Tiata. It was going to come eventually, Hamo, and it came just then.
How often do you see defending set after set after set, and then a set piece off a scrum? They just work the numbers, throw a little bit of a block play in, 2-on-1, and then out to the winger, and Tiata, he wasn't going to bomb that.
No way in the world. It was all class there from Jake Walsh. He talked to Gallagher there, so the defensive unit for the Berkeley Eagles, they were thinking it was all going to Gallagher, because that's all it's been today down this right-hand side. It's been all the Jay Gallagher show, but this time Walshy shows, goes, draws the winger, and young Jaden Tiata crosses over down in the southern corner, and we've extended that lead here, the Butchers, 36 points to 4, and there's still 15 minutes remaining in this 3rd quarter. And I tell you what, they're putting points on the board, the Butchers, but how fit are they looking?
They are looking solid. They are looking rock hard. They are certainly, playing with a lot of punch, a lot of gusto. And at the moment, Berkeley, they've just been run off their feet. It has to be said plain and simple, and that's a big psychological blow. As we see that kick, it's come along nicely.
It's off the upright. Lukey Gallagher's kick from the sidelines just come off the upright there, and so the score will remain 36 points to 4. And we touch on the fitness. They're getting absolutely flogged on the paddock here Tuesday, Thursday nights by Dan Nolan, and congratulations to trainer Dan, a dad during the week, him and his partner Christy throwing another foal. So Dan, congratulations mate, and I can't believe he got out of the house to come and do the fitness here today for the Butchers, so he must have a good wife at home that's probably tuning into this broadcast thinking, Dan, get home now, there's a screaming baby, what are you doing?
Well, when duty calls, but no, it's good to see that they're not getting complacent, the Butchers, that they are putting in the hard yards off the paddock, and I just think it's something that's inherent, it's innate with this culture that has been bred in this Northern Suburbs club.
As we see Foster about to get us back underway, it's a nice deep kick down to Simpson, and Simpson gobbles that up one now down on the eastern touchline and brings it back infield. He'll be told to play the ball on his 20-metre line. They'll continue to go the open side. There's Ethan George on the field for the first time today for the Butchers. So Ethan George, he's come back to this Butchers outfit. We've seen him with the Jersey Flag unit during the last few weeks, so he's back in his blue and white jumper today. There we go, Riley Lord with a strong carry. So Coach Costello opting to rotate his forwards now and giving these young pups a run for the Butchers, as we see Johnson back to the open side. Whitty with a nice strong carry just inside his own half. He'll play the ball to the right. Higgins with that left foot, a little kick there, a worm burner straight down to Jason Gillard there in that fullback position. The kick could have been better, but look at this defence from the Butchers pushing Gillard back. Nice set from the Butchers.
A better defensive set though for Berkeley. They were able to restrict the Butchers to their own half, which they haven't been able to do for most of this game. They've been rolling up the field, making 60, 70 metres per set. This time to kick from inside their own half. but the Butchers are muscling up here.
They sure are, but the Eagles, they need to get to their kick here, error-free, and turn the pressure around onto the Butchers, as we see a nice carry there from the 17 in Payne, and he's brought down three of the Butchers players, dominating defensively there. Foster Krabs crossfield, brings his back rower back underneath him in Fogland, and Fogland's told to play the ball. A little bit of a fumble there on the last, but not picked up by the referee, so they've kicked it in between Tiata and also Crosland there at fullback. Tiata fields the ball onto Crosland. Crosland brings it back infield, looking for a gap in that defensive line. He's brought down there by the big front rower in Stokes. So a good kick chase there from the Eagles, led by the front rower. There's Ethan George with a carry. Steps off his right. Collared there in the tackle.
There's plenty of space up the middle. They are really opening up. Have a look at the A defenders on both sides. There's a lot of space in behind the ruck, and Joel Johnson is just the man to exploit that.
Yeah, well, there we go. A little bit of laziness that Hamo you've picked up on there. They've given away the penalty, and it won't be long until we see the Joel Johnson show around the middle of the field there. He says someone in this competition that can sniff out a lazy marker, he is the man. But in saying that, he's come off the field for a bit of smoko there. The young bull, Jai Richards, on the field, one of the most exciting prospects here out here at Thirroul, the reserve grade hooker, given a chance today from Jared Costello, and I'm telling you, he won't disappoint, Hamo. He's a very good number 9, as we see Lukey Gallagher crabbing back infield. Dummies goes himself, looking for a gap. Gal getting the arm free. No, brought down 12 metres out. Richards in at acting half to the open side to Walsh. Walsh will go to the line, ball in hand. Long ball out there to Dodge. Dodge fields that one down round his knees. Bumps off the first defender, trying to get past the second. He can't. 5 metres out. Dodge will play the ball. 5 metres in from the eastern touchline. Richards with a long pass to Higgins. Higgins onto Riley Lord. Lord trying to steam over the line, but he's brought down 4 metres out. The Butchers, good signs here. Can they cross the try line again? A long ball to the right to Walsh. Walsh steps off the right, looking for the try line. There it is. Jake Walsh, great try. If there's a man out there that deserves one, he does. Jake Walsh, well done there, my friend. The Butchers extend their lead out to 40 points to 4. Hamo, yeah, they're looking good.
He came out after half-time with a real purpose, Jake Walsh, taking to the ball to the line, really asking some questions. And as we saw a little earlier, there was some space in the middle. We saw it there. They're just not getting their spacing right. They're defending too wide. They really need to compress it and force the Butchers to at least go out wide. On that occasion, it was Jake Walsh going, thank you very much. I'll go straight up the guts, and an easy conversion attempt for Gallagher.
You got to like a number 7 that holds that ball up right to the last minute and goes to the line. We've seen Zeke Foster, signs of it earlier on when he's got the ball in hand, and I really like when you see a number 7 go to the line first. You know, they've got that in their mind, they're going to bust the line. They want to run before they pass, and all the good number 7s that we see, your Cooper Cronk, your players like that, they've all got that instilled into them.
And Foster will have a lot more success with a forward pack that's moving forward. As Berkeley improves, as they get some cattle back on deck, no question, when they get better going forward, Zeke Foster will be more of a threat. He's playing behind a beaten pack today, but watch out. Once Berkeley get their troops back, they'll certainly be impressive.
And we've just had a bit of mail from Helensburgh here. The Berg are in front up there at... they're just behind there by 2 points at 3/4 time. So a good clash there up at Rex Jackson Oval between the Western Suburbs Red Devils and the Helensburgh Tigers. And it's a worm burner of a kickoff there, fielding Lukey Gallagher, who's just been told to go back and play the ball there close to the eastern touchline.
What about the confidence? He flew onto that like he was leading in an Aussie rules game. He was out in front of him, and
he's got about $40 worth of strap and tape wrapped around his head from that head clash earlier on.
He probably, from the head clash, he probably thinks he's playing a different sport.
There's Ethan George with a nice carry. Jai Richards out of acting half, sees one marker in front of him, goes to the line, picks up Whitty. Whitty bumps off the first, can't get past the second. So Whitty, he's brought to the ground, 40 metres out, but there's going to be a penalty blown to the Butchers there. So the Eagles defensively, they're giving away another penalty. 7 minutes remaining in this third quarter, 42 points to 4. No kick from touch there from Jake Walsh. He'll just put it on his foot and give it to his front row in Riley Lord, and Lord's brought down 25 metres out from the try line. They're gone to the open side. Richards to Higgins with a little bit of a skip, goes to the line, finds Crosland dummies. He's brought down in a great one-on-one tackle there by Foster. To the open side, Richards to Higgins to Ethan George. He steps off the right, trying to find a gap. Flicks it out the back, so nice work there from the front rower. Higgins with the ball, a face ball to Dodge, and Dodge trying to bust over for another try, but the ball slapped out of his hand, and we'll just see a knock on, first to the Butchers, second to the Berkeley Eagles, and I thought it could have gone either way there. I thought the ball was slapped out there by the Eagles player, but we're a long way from the action there. We've got to go with the referee call.
It was a loose carry. There was no question that there was a play at the ball, but it wasn't a great handle on it by Dodge, and there could have been a knock on there from Richards, I thought, there from that offload. I thought he might have got his hands to that.
Tell you what, Emma, you might get an escort to the car after this game. There's a few Butchers supporters here, death staring you at the present moment.
Yeah, well, I don't think at 36-4 they've got much to complain about, or 42-4, I beg your pardon. Actually, maybe I do need to get my eyes checked there, having a look at the scoreboard as we see another error.
Now we see another error there from the Eagles, and when they've been given the chances with the ball, they just can't seem to capitalise on it, Hamo, can they? They've coughed the ball over again, 10 metres out from their own try line, so the Butchers given another chance.
And we see Higgins there, who looks to have been given the playmaking duties.
Yeah, Higgins has jumped into 6. Crosland's gone back to fullback, so Fletcher's come to the sideline. And we'll see a bit of creativity here. We got Thirroul with the ball. He's got so fast feet. Gives it to Jaden Tiata, and Tiata in for try number 2. All too easy there. Callum Tatua, great work there. I tell you what, moves like John Travolta there. Saturday Night Fever with them feet. He is so classy, Callum Tatua, and no wonder Jarrett Costello had a smile from ear to ear when he rocked up to training on Tuesday.
And it was a carbon copy of Tiata's first, where they went out there and Tower able to get on the outside of his man, as you said, with those fleet feet. And a great try again by the Butchers, 46-4. Berkeley again, penalties, errors. We keep saying it, we keep flogging a dead horse, but I tell you what, it's you're never going to beat a Butchers side when you're giving away this many penalties, this many errors. It's a long day, and it's only going to get longer the way things are going at the moment.
Tell you what, Jamin Tiata must think first grade's that easy. 2 tries like that, he's thinking, how good's this? But he had his debut last week against the Dapto Canaries down at Dapto Showground, so it's game 2 here for him in first grade. I tell you what, he must be thinking, how good is this playing first grade football?
Well, I played on the Sting in my days, and that was about the only way I could score a try if there was no one in front of me, if I had to just catch it and pass it. Even then, I couldn't do that a lot of the time, but...
They called you fumbles a few times out at Wagga, did they?
Oh, yeah, don't worry.
As we see that conversion waved away from Luke Gallagher, so the score remains 46-4. 4 minutes remaining in this third quarter. The Eagles heads down, walking back to the halfway line to kick off again. They must just think it's Groundhog Day.
Certainly a sense of deja vu, isn't there, about the inevitability of Foster coming up to halfway and restarting us again. They just need to go back to the basics, really get up with line speed and really some aggression in the hits. They just look tired, they look energy sapped. And Thirroul, I mean, from 1 to 17, they're like the Energizer Bunnies.
Yeah, they sure are, and it's taken well there from Higgins, and it's laid on to Ethan George, who gets the ball out the back to Tom Simpson. Simpson trying to march his way down the paddock, gets his side another couple of metres there from the second phase play there from Ethan George. Simpson plays the ball. Richards to the right to Riley Lord. A good carry there from Riley Lord. A good 10-metre carry up the centre of the paddock. Richards has got options left to right here. He's going to go to the left to Walsh. Walsh is going to the line. Dummies goes himself. He's collared there. Not going to be called a high tackle. It's come off the ball there. It looks like the ball's come out here. So we'll just see the... It's going to be called
had a bit of help.
A rake. There we go. A bit of assistance there from the reserve back rower from the Berkeley Eagles in pain.
And it's just dumb football. It's dumb football, and they are getting absolutely hammered in the first up contact. We see it there, just the leg drive. They're not hitting, sticking. They're not getting the bodies in front. Oh, boy, it's going to get ugly.
Yeah, we sure will, as we see 3 minutes remaining in this third quarter. So we've still got 23 minutes left of rugby league here at Gibson Park, and I'm sure we're going to keep the scorer a lot busier than what he has been so far throughout the game. The Butchers looking good here. Mitch Lackerstein onto the field for the Butchers. So tough, Lackerstein. Richards, acting half, to the open side to Walsh. Walsh has got runners in motion, and he gives it to Ethan George, and bang! Ethan George is absolutely hammered by Fogland, but Fogland's back to his feet. Ethan George is back to his feet. Gallagher's in space. He's brought down 2 metres shy. Gallagher plays the ball. Richards dummies, goes himself. He's got green grass in front of him. Slams the ball down. Has he crossed the try line? Yes, he has. Great vision there from Jai Richards. A very good number 9 and a good replacement for Joel Johnson. We've racked up the half century here, Hamo.
Geez, it's scary when you can take Joel Johnson off and get a youngster like Richards into the play. He's looked solid since he's come on. He's asked some questions, which is the important thing. He hasn't been passive. He's been willing to take it out of dummy half and really threaten the Berkeley line. And kudos to him for really eyes up play there, heads up play. And as you mentioned, it's a half century.
Yeah, and they've got great options, the Butchers, in that number 9 this season. They've got their skipper, the stalwart, Joel Johnson. You've got Jared Whitty out there playing in the back row role. You've got Jai Richards, but you've also got Cooper Purcell, who's playing in the under-23 rep game today. So he's got a luxury, Jared Costello, of number 9s. And I tell you what, when it comes selection time and you've got to pick a 17...
I'd hate to be here.
Yeah.
I'd hate to be here.
I'm sure he'd be sitting in a dark room there drinking a lot of beer and trying to think, who am I going to pick here? Because any one of those 4 can do a job in first grade for the Butchers this season. As we see the seconds ticking away in this third quarter. Lukey Gallagher, so he's on to the other side of the field there. We've seen him try and attempt a couple from out here in the last couple of minutes. This one a lot easier than his last few attempts.
On the non-preferred for a left-footer, but...
He steps in. This one looks better off the boot. It's up in between the sticks down the southern end, over the blue dot. Flags are up. The 3-quarter siren has sounded. The Butchers 52, the Berkeley Eagles 4. 20 minutes remaining in this clash, Hamo. We'll go to a short break shortly, but thoughts on that third quarter?
I think Berkeley imploded, plain and simple. We talked about the need to cut out the penalties, cut out the errors. They went up tenfold in that quarter, and Thirroul, as ruthless as they are, they really applied the blowtorch to the belly. I thought Walsh was fantastic, and since he's gone off and since Johnson's gone off, we've seen Higgins step up, we've seen Richard step up, so it's good now that we're seeing some of these youngsters from Thirroul to see what they can do.
Yeah, it sure is there, and it just sends a warning through the Illawarra competition. A lot of these guys from 17 down to 20 that we're seeing come on today, we're going to see them in reserve grade this year. So how strong is that reserve grade side going to be? But we'll focus here on this deferred Round 2 Challenge Cup. The winner of this goes through to face Collegians next Friday night, and I'd like to get even money. It's the Butchers at this stage. I'm sure we will see the Butchers up against Collegians next Friday night at Zeens Park. Hamo will take a short break and we'll be back for all the last quarter action of this clash from Gibson Park, Butchers v Eagles.
Welcome back to Gibson Park. The final quarter just about to get underway in this deferred Round 2 game of the Challenge Cup pre-season. 52-4. Well, the result, it's a mere formality. But I'm sure the Eagles will try and salvage some pride from this final quarter as the Butchers take it back. But already up to the 30 just about, and it's been the story of the day. And finally some aggression from Puree, who comes flying in and makes a good tackle. They head out there to Lackerstein, and Lackerstein asking some questions on this right edge. He loses the football though, trying to shrug away there from Clapham.
I think that was the right call. I think it was the right call. Lackerstein was fighting to get up and play the ball there. They just got a little bit caught up there, the man with the ball and Clapham defensively. So a fair call, I feel, from the referee. As we see, the Eagles will feed the scrum, so they really need to post points here just for confidence in their own right. Just lay some points on the board and take something out of this game. Something, even if it's something really small, they need to take something out of this game.
Well, Zeke Foster's standing wide in the pivot position. That's where the ball comes. Turning it on the inside to Fogland. Justin Fogland brought down. Push and shove, a penalty forthcoming. It was Richards, in fact, who was just a little too keen to lay on the tackled player. And now Westman. As Johnny Pett mentioned, the Eagles trying to salvage some pride as Wallace turns it on the inside to Puree. And he shrugs away from one. Gets an offload, but he says, thank you very much, Joel Ruskin, but it was a penalty. Offside was the goal. So into the Butchers' red zone the Eagles go. Westman again. 9 metres out. Clapham to acting half. Corey it is. Callum Corey. 2 metres out. Wallace stands to the short side, but they go open to Foster. Quick hands. It was nice work because the Butchers were up quickly, as eager as they were in the first quarter. Wallace, and almost an intercept coming up for Walsh. But instead it'll be another set that the Butchers have to withstand on their own line.
It looked good, didn't it, Hamo? It looked very good there from the Eagles. They had players in motion there. They had the decoy runners. Everyone knew their job on the field there in that set of 6. It was just a little bit of a wayward pass there, and Walsh nearly come up with the intercept. But if Walsh didn't get a hand to that, it would have been try time on this left-hand side.
Could have been a try either way. As we see now, Stokes coming back for his last shift of the afternoon. And it has to be said, when he came on, he had some damaging runs and just gave them a little bit of a lift. Let's see if he can do it here. Again, the scrum's fed. Wallace across to Foster, who puts an early kick in. Tries to catch them napping. And it's cleaned up at the back there by Simpson. Gillard was coming through. And I guess Johnny Pett, they've got to try something.
Yeah, they sure do. But on the first tackle, you have to question it sometimes. I know you're behind on the scoreboard, 52 points to 4. You're not going to win the game. But I'd like to have seen them use up 3-4 tackles and lay a foundation for something and put that kick in on the tail end of the set. Nevertheless, it's worked out for them, so they're going to get a repeat set.
Well, they need to take the scoreboard out of the equation and just really put into practice what they want to do round one. As now they retrieve the short kick off. They're only 11 metres out. Another attacking set. This is looking more promising with this crossfield run, and Lackerstein came out looking to put a shot on. So Westman plays it. Wallace double pumps. He goes to Corey. Corey, the big lump of a lad, rolls into the Butchers' right edge defence. Ruskin was there with Walsh. Slow play the ball for Clapham. He dummies, looking to catch the markers napping. But they were alert to the danger. Now Corey at acting receiver. And that's why we don't see him there too often. It was a terrible ball, but Westman comes up with it. 10 metres out. They can regroup here as they go to the short side with Foster, who straightens, looks for Gillard. Gillard through 2. I thought it might have come off a Butcher on that occasion. They'll probably get another set.
Yeah, we've talked about the Butchers' attack all day, but defensively then, they were very, very good. They stopped the dummy half there from crashing over there. There was 3 players underneath that ball, and then the Berkeley Eagles trying to turn it inside a few times. So it's good to see the Butchers' defensive unit working from the outside in and stopping those inside balls. The Eagles, they're throwing down all they've got at the moment. But this is the third set in the row that the Eagles are going to have at the Butchers line. Can they crack it?
They might go to the short side here. It's 3-on-2, and that's the way they go. Gillard now with a little bit of a skip. He thought to maybe pass the ball to Puree, but thought better of it. Takes the tackle. That'll be tackle 1 for the Eagles. They trail by 48. That's right, 48 points, and we've still got almost a quarter of the game to go. In fact, a little less, 15 minutes. So, Corey to play it. Wallace first receiver. Foster under pressure. Gets out of one tackle he had. It was Westman flying through. He thought he was away, but he didn't get the ball. And the Eagles come up with another error. So after all that, the Butchers hang on. You have to say it was good defence, but they just lost their way, the Eagles.
Yeah, they sure did there. But I'll give a bit of a rap there to Zeke Foster there. He had Lukey Gallagher absolutely bolting out of the line to put pressure on him. He held his nerve there, got the ball with two hands there and put a little bit of a shink move on Gallagher there. But those last pass executions there, the tail end of the sets that's going to produce points, is just letting the Eagles down at the moment. As we've touched on a few times, Hamo, 7 men out does make it a little bit hard, but those little key things on the tail end of sets, you've really got to have them wheels in motion if you want to put points on the board.
I think it'll be a tough old slog on Tuesday night down in Berkeley. Now, the Butchers looking to complete this get-out set, as they've done so often this afternoon. A few errors to start the game, but they've really warmed to the task. Up towards halfway, Lackerstein plays it. Richards goes the short side. Walsh, quick hands to Tower. What a tackle that was. Puree had to make it because to Tower, he sniffed a gap. Now Walsh. Out there in the 16, it was Riley Lord in the middle, and some second phase play. The Butchers hang on to it. Now Richards. Higgins out to Gallagher. Gallagher gets it out to Dodge. They're lining up. Dodge gets out of another tackle, and Lukey Dodge finds the try line yet again, and the Butchers just keep on rolling on.
Yeah, there's try 2 for one of the crowd favourites here, Luke Dodge. Well, they were, as you touched on, Hamo, they were lining up to score that try. He had options left to right, but he backed his own ability. Ball in one hand there. It looked like Michael Jordan back in the Bulls day there, just carrying that ball with one hand, and he's crossed over to extend the lead for the Butchers. It's all too easy for them here at Gibson Park today.
These edge defenders will have nightmares. There's no question about that. The Eagles have been battered and bruised and bashed from pillar to post this afternoon. A real reality check. I know that they would have been sky high with their confidence after that win against Dapto, but I think they needed this before round one to show just maybe how far off the pace they are. I know they've got excuses, they've got cattle out, but they're going to have to be a lot better if they're going to challenge for the top 4 this year.
The Butchers, they won 42-0 last week. They've put 56 on the scoreboard today, so they've nearly clocked 100 points in 2 weeks and only let in 4 points. So you've got to give them a massive bit of credit here for their attacking display in the last 2 weeks of rugby league.
Gallagher, a chance to add to his points tally. It holds up in the breeze, but it's got the direction and it's got the legs. 58-4 with 12 minutes remaining. Well, how much better, Johnny Pett, can Thirroul get? I know it's only pre-season, but they have just started like a house on fire.
Yeah, they sure have. 2 weeks of rugby league we've seen from the boys in the blue and white jumpers. Impressive in both weeks. They've really stamped themselves now as, I know it's an early call, but they could possibly be competition favourites from what we've seen. I know we've seen Collegians go unbeaten so far in this pre-season challenge, the VB Challenge Cup, but the scores that the Butchers have put on teams, it has been unbelievable in the last 2 weeks.
I know we were talking about this pre-game, and I'm going to make a bold statement here. This Butchers side is capable, and I know that there's going to be a lot of fans maybe outrageous, but this team is capable of going through undefeated, I think.
Yeah, well, let's not just hope we put the mock on them there and Jared Costello doesn't come running up here now. And
I know it's early, but let's mark this prediction down and we'll see how we go towards the end of the season. But they have just been that impressive, and it's a test for these teams now to really step up to the benchmark that Thirroul's laid. Now Richards from acting half. Throws the dummy, makes 10 metres. Again, just rolling forward with consummate ease, the Butchers. Walsh now to Tatawa, had to reach behind him, gets on the outside, and he gets it out there to Jamin Tiata, who's already got a double, probably the easiest double you'll ever score, but nonetheless, put it down. That's the last, and it goes to the winger in Crosland, who puts in the kick. It's not a bad one either, and Gillard's back there to clean it up. He's only a metre out, 99 metres for the Eagles to go, and it was slapped down there. They'll get another set, but boy, oh boy, it's heart-mouth stuff every time the Eagles have got the ball.
Yeah, you just sort of think they're going to come up with an error, don't you? They've just been that way today. They haven't been able to get to their kicks, haven't been able to complete sets. They're coming up with crucial errors at crucial stages of the game. But that one there, Jake Walsh out of marker there, going for the intercept there, trying to get a bit of a cheeky try. He slapped the ball down, so the Eagles will feed the scrum 10 metres out from their try line. I've said it once or twice today, Amo, I'd like to see them post points. I just want to see them cross the line.
Well, they've got a fair way to go. 80 metres to be exact. Tackle one, the Eagles, with 9 to play in this one. 58-4. I think some optimistic Eagles fans made the trip up the M1 here today thinking this might be a close one, but they were sadly mistaken as this Butchers juggernaut keeps on rolling on in the pre-season competition. So Wallace getting it on his outside to his support play. Westminster to play it. Now Corey. 5th and last. The Eagles completing the set. They get to their kick. Although Corey in some discomfort after that. Foster decides to go short. Look at Gallagher in the pocket. He read it beautifully. And with the attack coming through from the Eagles, he showed a lot of courage.
Yeah, I think it was a good option there by Zeke Foster. He had to try something there on the last tackle to try and show his class and skill there, but Gallagher, he absolutely read it like a book. Actually, he might have read it like a book. He might have just been having smoko back there. You never know. He's had a big game out there, Luke Gallagher.
And you mentioned he had the head knock earlier. Yeah. Maybe he was a bit disorientated about where he was.
He'll claim that he read it. Definitely he will claim that he read that like a book.
No, he's had a good game out there on the left edge. Both Gallagher boys have been super impressive. You know, how tough is that when you see a Gallagher out on one side giving you grief? Oh, I might go out the other side. Oh, there's another one. And then you throw in Dodge as well.
Yeah, the fringe has been lethal, hasn't it, for the Butchers today. But they've been led up front by the front rowers. Sirenham was enormous earlier on. Jack Noble was good earlier on. Ruskin coming off the bench has been huge.
Into the Butchers' red zone. They've only done that a handful of times this afternoon. Stokes with it, and they go out further afield to Westman. Centre of the park. Wallace wants it to the left. Foster's out to the right. They have numbers out at the right, but they go the left instead. Wallace puts in an early kick. Again, persisting with the early kick. And the Butchers coming up with the ball.
Yeah, just not the right option there for the Eagles. Probably the wrong man to kick it on the tail end of that set. And as we see, Stokes out of the line. Absolutely crunch Crosland.
He did not miss. Well, they may have been absolutely annihilated on points, but a nice shot in the 12th round there from Big Stokes. I'm sure there would have been plenty of feeling coming back to his former stomping ground today. Didn't get the result, but got a nice little shot in there to make the highlights reel, no doubt, at the end of the year. So Walsh now throwing it out the back for Gallagher to pick up the scraps. Just moseying on across field, trying to pick up someone. He loses the football. Now Puree. He's looked the most likely to bend this Butchers line. He beats a couple of tackles before he's finally brought down. So the Eagles into the Butchers half yet again. Can they find the polish that they have lacked on numerous occasions this afternoon? Corey with the big don't argue. He pulled on the brakes. It was It was like a big B double on the Hume Highway, slamming on the brakes. So they go out to Foster, who turns it on the inside. 5 minutes left. They trail by 54. Short side Foster. Foster dummies. Gets away from one. Puts the kick in. But it wasn't one of his best. And it perhaps wasn't the option either. So the Butchers, they get out of jail again.
Yeah, definitely not the right option there from Foster. He had players in motion to his right, but he was trying something, trying his luck. Because they've just been luckless all day, the Eagles. They just can't seem to cross that stripe again. They crossed it early in the first quarter, but it's been like a phantom down there for them, hasn't it? They can't seem to find it.
Well, and credit to the Butchers, because it's not as if they haven't had to defend their line this afternoon. They've been super impressive. They've worked for each other. They've worked hard on the inside. They've moved well laterally across the line. They've come up in the face of Foster and Clapham and also their Gillard this afternoon, and they've had no rest. So Walsh now taking it to the line, popping the ball through. A couple of errors just creeping into the Butchers now as they try to push the pass.
Yeah, I think we'll see a bit of stop-start football in this last 4 minutes there. Walsh going to the line there. The option was right. He got the arm free out there, but the pass just couldn't be fielded properly and couldn't go through the gap there. The right option was on there. It was the last tackle. So the Eagles, they'll get to play the ball still inside their own half. The clock slowly ticking away. Big Stokes trying to get back on side. He's had enough for today, Ammo.
Yeah, and speaking of had enough, Luke Gallagher comes to the sideline and just got the padding or the maybe a bit of claret just coming out of where the head tape is there. He gets a well-earned rest as now Puree looks for some more work. He almost gets away from one. In fact, he manages to and gets an offload away to Wallace, who's now gone to the halves in this last quarter. Puree again, he's hungry. He wants work, which says a lot because they have been comprehensively outplayed in this 77 minutes. But he's still hungry. He's still putting his hand up as Foster has a bobble and goes back inside to Stokes. Stokes trying to go forward. So fifth and last to the boot of Foster, who again takes to the line. He might get a repeat set or better here, but no, it was well taken there by Simpson. And he'll play it 5 metres out.
That was a better kick from Foster. It was good ground. Ended up in the end goal line there, but it was well read there from Tommy Simpson, who's had a great game out there on that left-hand side picket swing for the Butchers today. He brought that back into the field of play. The chase just needed to be a little bit better there from the Eagles.
Riley Lord to play it as the Butchers escape from their red zone with fairly... with a lot of ease, it has to be said. Now Richards. Oh, and he's been absolutely coat-hanged. It was like he was decapitated.
To his credit, he's 4'11".
Yeah, it was a long way down to tackle Richards, and he'd got them beaten. All ends up. It was lazy. And it was good to see Richards really asking some questions.
The very smart number 9. Very, very smart number 9.
He's picked his time nicely in his limited minutes today. And he's been rewarded with a try already. Costello there losing the football. Just trying to struggle and get the arms free. And there may have been a hint of assistance, but when you try and get that ball free to offload, the referee's always going to rule in favour of the defensive side.
Yeah, big Damien steering in there with a nice carry, trying to flick that out the back, looking for some runners from the Butchers to put some more points on the board. And we're into the last 30 seconds, Hamo, and I dare say both teams won't be too eager to pack this scrum.
No. Let's see if the Eagles have one little trick shot up their sleeve. They have tried things in the last 10-15 minutes that perhaps weren't from the textbook, and yeah, that'll be it. That will be the end of the passage. Neither side willing to pack the scrum. So that's it. Full time here at Gibson Park. Thirroul will go through to the Challenge Cup final. They will face Collegians in a mouth-watering battle next Friday night. The final score here in this deferred round 2 game, Thirroul 58, Berkeley 4. Johnny Pett, your thoughts?
Yeah, all one-way traffic. The Butchers too classy. They'll go through the Challenge Cup undefeated in their pool. Collegians, they'll go through undefeated in their pool. So as you said, a mouth-watering clash this Friday night. 2 of the big heavyweights in the Illawarra competition will go head-to-head down there at Zeems Park. And to the Collies players watching this game, they're going to have to be on song next week to stop this Butchers attack. And the Butchers, they've watched Collies games over the bar, TV, replays, and they've been impressive with what they've seen.
Who's the bar TV man of the match, Johnny?
Oh, look, you could give it to 17 players out there for the Butchers. Jake Walsh, enormous. Led the team round the field so well. Jay Gallagher, 2 tries. Young Jamin Tiata, 2 tries out here on the wing. You know, there was a plethora of tries. Everyone got their hands on the ball.
Dodge 2 tries?
Yeah, Dodgy got 2 tries. Look, I'm going to give it to Jake Walsh. I know you can only, as a halfback, you play on the back end of your forwards. His forwards were going forward, and as all good halfbacks do, they just lay off the foundation of that, and he had a great game.
Best in the beaten side?
Yeah, Puree was huge. He just beat every player first up when he had the ball in hand. He was enormous for them, and I'd like to see Zeke Foster throughout this season. I think he's going to be a player to watch in 2019.
Well, as we mentioned, that Challenge Cup final between Thirroul and Collegians next Friday night. Look forward to your call then. I won't be there, unfortunately. I've got a prior engagement emceeing the Illawarra cricket presentation evening, but I look forward to your call as I have throughout the Challenge Cup.
Yeah, it's been a good pre-season. It's been an exciting Challenge Cup that we've seen. It's been, you know, wall-to-wall entertainment, and we're seeing a great level of rugby league displayed each and every week, and it's laying a good foundation for what's going to be a cracker of a 2019 season. Well,
that's all here today at Gibson Park. The Butchers carving up the Berkeley Eagles. 58 points to 4 the final score. Look forward to your company next Friday for the Challenge Cup final.